Welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. Our mission is to share what we have learned from our experience and the experience of others to help you make more money investing like a pro. We want to teach you how to create wealth by investing in real estate the Discount Property Investor way. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys and girls, welcome. I am your host, David Dodge, along with my good friend, Phillip Vincent, here today. And I'm super excited to be doing this training for you all today here. Phillip Vincent is not only just an awesome human being, but he has some amazing training and an amazing community, an amazing group. And it's all focused on one very simple strategy and niche, I should say, more of a niche than a strategy. It's the senior living space. And Phillip is going to be here today to tell us all about it and how the senior living niche can be a gold mine for all of us, real estate investors, fix and flippers, landlords, wholesalers, whatever, to go about getting the best deals and generating leads from people that need to sell their home. These aren't necessarily folks that want to sell. Oftentimes, they need to sell. Sometimes they don't even really have a choice. And again, Phillip's going to be here today to tell us all about that. Phillip, welcome. How are you today, brother?
Good, David. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely, man. I'm super excited to have you here. We are recording. This is a Zoom call. There's some folks here now. We're going to have a few more joining us most likely as we go. But Phillip, I want you to drive here today, and I'm obviously going to be here to help as well. But let's rock and roll, man. Let's jump in. What is Mom's House? Let's start with that.
What is Mom's House, right? We train people to be senior transition specialists. And the reason why we do that is when you're breaking into the senior living world, you might be listening right now and think I'm an investor and I'm a real estate agent, and an investor and a real estate agent is not the way to show up to the senior living world. And there's reasons for both. The first one is the word investor. A lot of times when a senior living person hears the word investor, all they hear is dun dun. They got their wall up. Sharks in the water. And then sometimes when you say, hey, I'm a real estate agent, that might even be worse, because that's how this industry has been, I'm going to use my air quotes, fixing this problem for the past 35, 40 years, is they spend millions of dollars a month on marketing to get families to come do tours of their communities, only to then push them right back away and say, hey, go talk to a real estate agent, and after you figure out all that money stuff, come back and see us. And what do I mean by money is that only about 5% of Americans can just write the check monthly for the long-term care. It's about $6,000 a month on average. That's a big number for one person, $6,000 a month. And so 95% of people say, we probably need to sell Mom's house to pay for care. And that's how it was born. You know, I've been doing real estate here for 25 years, and we'll get into that today. But today we're going to have a conversation, why anyone listening should care is there's plenty of disposition strategies out there in real estate, but today we're going to talk about an acquisition strategy. We're going to talk about a lead source that, in my 25 years, guys, this is the best leads that I've ever found. And I've tried every type of leads. And so let's go into it. I've been on a lot of podcasts, big names, little names. I like to do this. I like to get the word out about how senior living, we use that word niche. Sometimes people say, Phil, what a great little niche you're in. And I'm like, hold on, wait till you see the numbers, because the numbers are exponentially bigger than we might think. And today I'm going to wipe out the notion that you have to spend thousands of dollars to get your phone to ring, or thousands of dollars a month to be a successful real estate investor. Some people want to buy hundreds of houses a year, and they have that vanity metric that they want to do that, because what they're really saying is they would like to have freedom. And I think when I really break it down with most folks, and I know you do this too, David, when we analyze what our freedom number is, almost everybody I've ever met is between $10,000 and $20,000 a month. That's how much they want to make to be free.
Absolutely.
Right. And
Phil,
so,
I want to interrupt just for a sec, man. The whole vanity thing, I can't agree more. I am the guy, or I should say have been, that's doing 100 transactions a year for the last 4 or 5 years. And man, oh man, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm making more money than the guy doing 10 or 20. Right. And at the same time, I'm working my rear end off. So I can't agree.
Right.
I can't agree more. Yes.
Yes. And so when we think about it with average profits, let's just say it's nationwide around 15,000 on a wholesale deal. For a lot of people, David, that means they only need to do one deal a month to make, 180 grand a year. There's a lot of CEOs out there that make 180 grand a year. And
Yeah.
I know doing 100 transactions a year, plus how easy would it be to do one transaction a month? That's basically a part-time job.
10 or 12 a year is more than enough. Some people could probably get away with even a few less than that and live a
Totally.
great life, have plenty of income. Right.
So you guys see my screen here. Of course, it's a joke. Who is this for? This is for people that feel like their marketing efforts is a dumpster fire. We all are out there doing the same things. We're doing the same direct mail campaigns, the same pay-per-click, the same bandit signs. And so what I'm going to show you guys today is a way to drive that marketing budget down to zero and work less hours. I'm a big proponent for, I'm not, when people brag that they work 90 hours a week, I kind of feel bad for them. That's not a brag to me anymore, especially where I'm at in life right now. So this is for people who want to build a lifestyle that includes working way, way less than 40 hours a week. My training, I'm just going to get out of the way in the beginning here. It takes about 3 to 5 hours a week to do what I'm going to teach you in the beginning. And that's to build the relationships in here in senior living. So this is the problem as I see it today for most real estate investors, is that we're all using the same marketing tactics. David, you and I, we talk marketing tactics all day long. We love talking about lead gen and real estate. And, everybody got into real estate thinking they were in a house buying business, but they found out very quickly that they're in the marketing business. And so
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
When your competition goes up, it cuts into your profits. You feel like you're only as good as your last marketing ad spend. I ask people all the time, if you stopped direct mail today, how long would it be before no one ever called you again? And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like thinking about that. It's because you have to keep that machine on for it to work. I'm not knocking direct mail. Let me be clear. I like direct mail. It's just a machine that you have to turn on and never turn off. And so the reason why is that you're not really building something sustainable. You're only as good as your last marketing ad spend. And for a lot of people, like you said, David, it's complicated to build a huge real estate business. If you're doing 100 transactions a year, people say they want to do that, but a guy like you did that and goes, hold on, how can I simplify things now? Right? I mean, you're a good example of you can do 100 deals a year, but it's a whole lot of work. Isn't it not better to maybe build a business that comes directly to you? And what does my business look like today? On the left, you see Jeff and Sharon. They're something called placement agents. And David, I don't know if you know this, but a placement agent is a kind of like a real estate agent for the senior living world. And so today, let's say me and you were brothers and we had to move mom into senior living. We wouldn't know what level of care she needs. We wouldn't know how much money she has to spend. We know there are all these things that are the placement agents take care of. And so a placement agent gets paid for placing someone into the right senior living community. And so my leads come directly to me, usually via text or via email like this. They're saying, hey, here's Phillip. He's a guy that's going to make this easy on you. And in a time, you said it earlier in the top of the broadcast that these families need to sell their house. I literally buy their forever home for a living. And so this is a great tool for people that have the desire to help others. If you don't care about other people, this is not going to go well. And I always say, if you can start with caring about people, putting their needs first, the real estate deals are right behind it. And let's talk about, you and I are both numbers people. So for anyone that loves the stats, and for that person to say, Phillip, what a great little niche you're in here, I want to show them this, is that 70% of Americans over the age of 65 are going to live in some sort of long-term care before they pass away. So things like probate, when someone has actually passed, that's at the end of the line. But 70% of people over 65, how many is that? Well, there's about 54 million Americans that are over the age of 65. And by the year 2030, it's going to be almost 74 million. They call it a silver tsunami. It's so big that the United States government doesn't know what to do either. They're really concerned about the Medicaid beds or the Medicaid communities. To be clear, guys, you don't want to be in a Medicaid community. That is like the end of the line, the cheapest of the cheap. That's not the big, beautiful communities that you see being built in your neighborhoods. That's private pay. And so jokingly, I always say I've learned 2 things about this business is don't get old, and if you do, be rich. And what I mean by that is you need money to have a life that you're going to want to live. And so Medicaid is the largest contributor, guys, to long-term care spending. But guess what? They don't give you Medicaid unless you're broke. And so you don't want to go on
a lot of the Medicaid communities is like 2 and 3 people in a room too. It's very little privacy. I mean, it's the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum.
Bare minimum that the government does. So you don't want to end up in Medicaid. So it's kind of like food stamps, right? I'm glad there's a food stamp program for people that need it, but they don't give it to people that have money. They don't give you Medicaid. People think Medicaid is going to pay for the long-term care. David, that's just not true. It's not going to happen. And so they don't give you Medicaid until after you spend down, that's a real term, a spend down, all of your assets. And so that means the house is going to need to be sold a lot of times to pay for care before Medicaid will kick in. And so that, and so guys, you know, there's 10,000 people a day turning 65, there's over 10,000 people a day turning 75. This is something that in my 20 plus years in real estate, I've never seen anything as, you know, even though I started in senior living about over 10 years ago now, David, I was just ahead of the curve. It's now starting right now in 2023. The youngest of the, I should say the oldest of the boomers are starting to go into senior living right now. And that wave is going to be
oldest of them. So that wave's 15 or 20 years.
They're the oldest boomers, right? But we've got almost 15, 20 year run here of these boomers that are going to, that wave's going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I was just ahead of the curve, but it's just now starting right now. So you're not behind in this. I've never really seen anything, a bigger opportunity than what this is to become a senior transition specialist. And I want to be clear here, guys, you don't have to have 10 years of real estate experience or even have a real estate license to do what I do, which is to go build relationships with the right people in senior living. They're working with families every day that need to sell their house. And so when you read the newspaper right now, they're going to tell you that there's no inventory, right? We hear it all the time, no inventory. Yet the Wall Street Journal puts out articles like this, says, okay, boomer, who's going to buy your 21 million houses? And that's funny to me because that's, you know, over the next 20 years, they're saying that's going to happen over the next 2 decades. Guys, that's over 1 million opportunities a year for people that are going to need to sell their house. And so I always say, you're going to work in senior living, whether you want to or not, so you might as well embrace it. And I know for a fact that if people listening today don't take this seriously, they will be buying houses from someone that did. And that's not a threat by any stretch. It's just look at what's going on in the world right now. This is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, yet these 21 million people need to sell their house. It's over 1 million opportunities a year. And that's why I love this industry. And what I mean by that is, you and I both have a lot of buddies that did a lot of text message blasting and other types of marketing. Well, that was like a seasonal thing, or it went away and it got, you know, there was lawsuits involved, and just helping seniors is not like a trendy or sexy thing, but it's something that is sustainable. It's going to continue on unless they figure out a way to stop aging. Right. And I mean that jokingly, but
well, it's a whole different type of marketing altogether too. Right. Yeah. It's marketing to individuals that essentially need to sell often today, sometimes just in a couple of weeks or months, like in the future. But the whole prospecting side of the business isn't necessarily direct to the seller a lot of the time. It can be, but it's through other people, which you're obviously going to get to here in a few. But yeah, I love it, man.
Direct to the seller. I mean, that's the golden egg that we're all looking for, is the actual seller. I'm going to teach you how to build relationships with the granny goose that lays the golden eggs.
That's exactly right.
That's the fun thing, right? And so if you don't, you know, if you just listen to this today and don't take anything from it other than just, you know, you'll get the same results that you have. I mean, a lot of people are out there beating each other up over the same marketing tactics. And so investors aren't usually going to take the time to go build these relationships. They're just not. I want to be clear too, because we said the word senior living. This is not taking a single family house and turning it into residential care. There's other people that do that. What Mom's House is we helped those people that are moving into residential care. We buy the asset, which is their forever home, the house they live in currently, so now they can move into senior living. I finally came up with an analogy that I like after 10 plus years in this business about senior living. Is the senior living industry is kind of like a car dealership that doesn't buy the trade-in. They want you to buy their car really desperately, but they don't want to buy your trade-in. Like, they want you to go figure that out on your own. And so the senior living industry sells housing. That's what they do. They sell your mother or your father housing, and they don't really embrace the house that you live in currently. And so this is a little known niche that's hidden in plain sight. They find out really quickly that real estate agents are not the best options for these families. And we're going to go over that today.
Now, go back to that for a sec, Phil. Why? I know the answer, but there's probably people here or people watching the replay here that don't know that last bullet point there, don't understand that. Why are they usually not the best option?
I'll show you here in the next couple slides.
Okay, cool.
That is coming up. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. You're like, well, why not? And guys, even myself, I've been in this business a long time.
You can throw a rock and hit a real estate agent.
Thank you. They're everywhere, right? And so this is for people that want to have a clear plan. You know, I think a lot of us feel like the blind leading the blind. There's always some new trendy thing. And so if you can build relationships with the right people, what's cool about this, remember I said it's like the granny goose. I don't truly know the lifetime value of my relationships in senior living yet, David, because I'm still doing deals with them. I just got a text earlier today about a deal I'm going to go look at. And that was from somebody I met in 2011. So imagine doing one direct mail campaign and you're 12 years, 13 years later, and you're still doing deals. And so I always say one of my favorite quotes is don't cling to a mistake just because you spent a lot of time making it. And what I mean by that is we used to spend 20 grand a year on the yellow book. And for anyone that's under the age of 35, the yellow book was a big fat piece of paper that had everyone's phone numbers on it, right? It seems ludicrous now, but that was what we spent our money on. We don't do that anymore. Why? Because guys, things change and your marketing budget can be zero. You can find a niche where you're the only investor working the deals. It's something that we don't talk enough about. It's something you can be proud of. I don't know any bandit sign guys that are proud of their business. That
are like
they can to not get caught, right? And so
right.
Why am I on here, David, is, we've been building Mom's House here nationwide for the past 3 years, and we have these relationships in senior living, and the senior living industry trusts us with their families because of this certification training that we're talking about today. And so we need to help serve the families that are transitioning their parents into senior living. If anyone listening today has already done that, moved their mother or father into senior living, you already know how hard of a situation this is. I always say that families that get along don't get along during this process because it's so emotional. And so for me, I can't be everywhere at once. And so we have these leads coming in nationwide. That's why we're talking to you today about how to work with Mom's House, how to get this certification. What is a senior transition specialist? I said, don't show up as a real estate agent, don't show up as an investor, but show up as a senior transition specialist. It's someone that builds relationships with the key stakeholders in the senior living world. They help seniors and the adult children of the seniors through the very difficult time to unlock that equity for care. We buy houses from seniors. Guys, you can keep them as a rental, you can flip them, you can tear them down and build a new one. What you do to dispose of the assets that you get is up to you. I always like to say, once you have a lead source that you like, and I'm sure you and I are the same way, David, if a deal comes across our plate and it fits my buy box, great. But even if it doesn't, I'm going to go get it under contract and wholesale it to someone else or do something with it. I'm not going to let that lead, even though it's not Philip's buy box or David's buy box. Once you have the lead flow, you can build relationships and wholesale to other people. We do have buyers nationwide that are looking for deals. Good deals are hard to find. So if you have them, it's easy to wholesale them. We talked about the nationwide relationships that we have here, David. These are
so who are all these people here?
These are all the different senior living companies that work with Mom's House. These people push their leads to us. A good one is an example like caring.com. That would be a place where you might end up looking for care options, and they say, do you have a house? We're going to need to sell a house to pay for care. They say yes, and that lead comes directly to us. That's exciting stuff. David, I didn't dream big enough when this started. I knew I was onto something even all the way back in 2011, but to be now part of the senior living sales process, it's pretty cool when you see.
Yeah, that's really cool. So somebody goes into a community and they they're elderly, they need care, they're lonely, whatever. They go to the community, and the community then asks them if they have a home they need to sell, and then they pass that information over to Mom's House.
Yeah.
That's insane.
They kind of have to do that too, because you got to remember, David, they can't let someone who's broke move into their community, right?
And oftentimes they got to sell something to have the resources to even move in. So it's like it's a win-win for all parties: the seller, the community. Us investors. Man, holy cow, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty rare when the right thing to do is the right thing to do. And that's what I feel like I get this fulfillment from helping these people. We're going to go over, there's 10 reasons why I think these are the best leads. And so I'm excited to share those with you. But like you summed it up well, it serves all three people, the adult children, the senior, the industry, and real estate investors like us. It's fulfilling to help others. I don't hear a lot of investors talking about fulfillment. I take great pride in what I do, and I'm looking for other people that feel the same way. Something you can be proud of. It's something you can want to show people. Hey, I'm a senior transition specialist. Oh, what's that? Is exactly what you just said. You get to help other people. You can set your own hours for this. I mean, I probably work, 1 to 5 hours a week on this business right now. And I've got a business now that comes directly to me. You don't really have to do awkward cold calling, and you don't really have a limit on how much income you can make. You can build as many relationships as you want, all while really helping people. You talked about it earlier, David, about needing to sell the house to pay for care. A lot of people don't know this, but moving mom or dad into a senior living community, they're saddled with a huge monthly payment. On average, it's around $6,000 a month. And so if your mom has $2,100 a month pension, where is that rest of that money going to come from? Is it going to come from money bags, Dave, to make the difference? And you might do it for a month or two, but pretty quickly you're going to call your brother.
Yeah, 5-6 months in, you're gonna be like, holy cow, guys, I'm getting I'm getting dried out here. Holy cow.
I love mom, but I'm writing a check for $4,000 a month. It's like, you're going to say we need to sell mom's house. That's what you're going to say, because that's where their equity is sitting. And most families have to pay or have to sell to pay for career. We talked about that earlier. I don't convince anyone to sell me their. I want to say this too for anyone listening. My whole life shifted when I only started working with people that wanted my service.
Yeah.
Instead of going out to the world and say, hey, do you want to sell? And like, please think of me. They're the people I have relationships with, and we'll go over some of those today, is they're saying, hey, you need to talk to Phillip. So they're like teeing me up as the person that's going to fix this situation. And almost all this happens really quickly, Dave. They say, hey, mom is going to get out of rehab in 2 weeks. And they told her she can't move back home. I don't know where that money is going to come from. That's what they'll say. And so they realize very quickly that, well, we're going to talk about the real estate agent. The real estate agent walks in and says, clean this place out and let's do this list of rehab items so we can get top dollar. Well, almost always the adult child lives over 400 miles away. Imagine trying to do a rehab across the country, Dave. And we barely like to do them when they're across town here in our city. The communities don't actively help. They're truly passive about it. I'll even do the gesture. They say, go find a real estate agent. And when you figure that out, please come back and see us. Please come back and see us. But they push that customer out the door. Even though they're in the housing business, they don't embrace the housing that they live in currently. And that's
your analogy earlier about the used car is so perfect, because that's exactly what's happening. They're trying to sell you new housing, but they're not giving you any options with the old house, the current house.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And even, imagine they only have 28 months on average with that customer.
That's the average time frame that somebody is in a community. Interesting.
Yeah, 28 months. So for a lot of people, what I found, and we'll go into it about this stuff, these people are in the care business. They're not in the real estate business. And thank God for that. I wouldn't have a business right now, David, if they were actually doing this the right way. They think that real estate agents are the only option. And so the person that I help the most is, this picture's a little graphic, but that's daughter Judy laying there on the table. And she's being pulled in 4 different directions. She's got her mother who just had hip surgery, and she's alive, and she's been moved into senior living, but she's a little cantankerous. She's still recovering from her surgery. She just wants to go back home, even though daughter Judy knows she can't. The other horse is the community themselves saying, hey guys, how are you going to pay us $6,500 a month? Where's that money going to come from? Prove it to us, David. Prove it to us how you're going to pay us. My contract to buy the senior's house a lot of times has been the proof that allows them to move their mom in. They know the money.
Amazing.
The other horse is the brothers and sisters. Daughter Judy is usually the one that lives in town, and the brother who lives in North Carolina, and the sister who might be in town but doesn't help with anything. They're all pulling on daughter Judy. They think every decision daughter Judy's making is wrong. It's a very tumultuous time. It's a very hard time. And then the last one is the horses. Daughter Judy's usually married with kids. They had a full life. They have a full life going on. They don't have enough paid time off. I've heard it so many times. They burn up all of their paid time off during this situation, trying to care for mom. That burden usually falls on one adult child in town, and the other children just don't see it. And so Judy's literally being pulled in 4 different directions. Where do you think the 5th rope goes, David, when the real estate agent shows up and says, clean this place out and let's do this list of rehab items so we can get top dollar?
That's the noose around the neck, my friend.
That's too much. No moss. That's what daughter Judy's saying. No, there's no. Okay, I mean, and a lot of times daughter Judy might not even live in town. She's got to get back to Cincinnati. She might have to get 4 states away. That 5th rope is too much. And so fortunately for us, David, every house we ever buy looks just like this house, right? That's all we buy, is houses look just like this, right? I mean, guys, if every house looked like this, we would have very little to do in our wholesale world, right?
That's right.
We're looking for houses. Dave, have you ever seen a house on meth before?
That is a house on meth right there. I love it.
We're looking for opportunity. I mean, we've seen this jokingly, but guys, if every house looked like that, we wouldn't have much to do. We're looking for houses that we can add value to.
That's right.
And that's how we create our values, because we can do that rehab for less than they can. And so when you see a picture like this, the real estate agent walks in and says, hey, I'll be here with my camera crew tomorrow. We'll get this house listed by Friday. Do they say that when they see this?
No, absolutely not.
No, they say, clean this place out.
Those are some rad phantoms right there. I like that.
I heard those are expensive, you know, and then not every house looks exactly like this, but the point is that the house is not retail ready. Daughter Judy's 400 miles away. And this is a real question. In a time when mom needs money, that's why she's selling the house. And the real estate agent says, let's do a rehab. Who's going to pay for the rehab?
Yeah, who's going to pay for the rehab? And Phil, every house needs something. Even when I buy a house that is 2 or 3 years old, it needs 10 grand typically. There's always something.
My house is 3 years old and it needs paint right now.
Yeah, whenever I turn a rental property over and the tenants have been there for 12 months, it needs 2 or 3 grand typically. Like every house needs something. When they look like this, they're going to need a lot more than ones that don't have all the clutter, but you're gonna have it. Absolutely.
And hoarding comes in different flavors, right? I would call this true hoarding, but then look at this one. This guy had very nice stuff, but are you going to show up and take your pictures for the camera tomorrow? You know,
no way. This is an aggressive collector, right?
Thank you. Yes. What do you call a hoarder that you like? David just said it perfectly. We call him an aggressive collector. People, when they live in these houses for 30, 40, 50 years, they have a lot of stuff. And so, guys, the growth is obvious. There's over 250 communities just in the St. Louis area where I live. David, I have relationships with 10 of them.
That's
10
it.
of them.
10
so
of them.
there's 250 that I haven't even talked to yet in my 10 years. That's how much opportunity there is here. Long-term care spending is going from 220 billion up to 346 billion by 2040. It's a good time to point out, if you're listening to this and you think you're going to inherit your parents' money, probably not. Because our parents are going to live longer and the care is going to get more expensive, and they are coming. Look at this stat. How many people in 1960 were over the age of 85 in our country? Look how little that is.
Barely any.
How many females by the year 20? By the way, we're not near the year 2060 in my mind, right?
Right.
It's going from a pyramid shape to a rectangle. That's how many millions of people over the age. I would say my customers are over 75 and above. And
yeah, the average house I buy, regardless of the marketing in general, Philip, is 65 or older.
Yep.
You know, I'm not typically buying houses from 25 and 30-year-old people. They don't, unless they inherit the home, of course, which is a great strategy, but it's minimal. You know, 90%, they're above 65.
People say that all the time. They say, I think I've been buying houses like this. I just didn't put a structure around
Didn't know it. Right.
Yeah. And so hero is too big a word for this, but here's what I mean by that. They're getting bad news in waves. I'm not the doctor that said mom can't move back home, so that's bad news. I'm not the finance director that said the place you guys picked out is $6,500 a month. I'm not the clean out company that's, you know, and I'm not the real estate agent saying, hey, you have to clean this place out. I'm an as-is cash buyer. I go in and try to make this as easy as possible. And so I need you guys, because we have all these relationships, all these companies trust us because of this certification training. And so years ago, guys, I was spending $30,000 a month on marketing. And I remember the pain of, boy, I hope I get that money back. Every time we catch some marketing on fire, you're like, boy, I hope this returns my money. And with this it's going to take your time and effort, not your money. And when you do it right, you can build a relationship business that comes directly to you. And so I live a life by design. I hang out with my family a ton. Me and my wife love to hang out with each other. I don't work 90 hours a week on this business. That's not my goal with any of this. You know, when you get the certification training that we're talking about today, you can be the solution for the families. You can be the solution for the communities, and you can be the real estate investor that you always wanted to be. You said that earlier about how it helps all three different people. This is a business system that gets you those deals without the competition. Very rarely do I have any competition. Sometimes it's me versus a real estate agent. But as we said before, my value prop is different. If I can show them on paper while they'll net the same amount without any of the work, most logical humans say, Phil, give me the easy button. I don't want to rehab that house anyway. Let's go ahead and do your deal, because I don't want to have to rehab the house, or I don't want to have to come out with the money to rehab the house. I'm going to, in this certification, we teach you who to build meaningful relationships with, so you don't just guess. In 2011, I just started networking in senior living, and I would take a lunch with anyone that would say yes, and I wasted a lot of time. So I'm going to show you exactly who to talk to. There's about 11 different job titles that we'll train you on. I'm going to teach you what to say to them, and I'm going to spend a lot of time, David, on teaching everyone what not to say. There's a lot of reasons for that. We're going to put our foot in our mouth. If you don't speak the language of senior living, that's where our training comes in. And so you can indoctrinate yourself into senior living. I'm going to show you when is the right time to connect with them. It's not by walking in the front door. You might be in your car right now listening to this, and you might say, well, yeah, there's a community around the corner. I'm going to stop in there today. I'm strongly suggesting you don't do this until after the training. It's not by walking in the front door. That's not how you get the business. In fact, you'll be met with a lot of walls up if you try it that way. I'm going to show you exactly where to find them, and in a situation where they want to be found versus just bombarding them or walking in the front door. And I'm going to show you how to build a real estate business that comes directly to you. We talked earlier about people's goals. You know, to do 100 deals a year, that sounds great. It's a good vanity number, but really, if you did one deal a month from this, for most people, David, you know, if they make, 15 grand a deal, that's enough. That's enough. And that's basically a part-time business. Then you can have, you can concentrate on the life that you want to build. If you want to just wholesale back to my network, we do have nationwide buyers lined up. And so people that are in our network can do that as well. You can't use Google to find daughter Judy's. You can't, and if you could, I'd be the first guy to buy that list, because my whole business the past decade plus has been working with daughter Judy, who's helping their parent move into senior living.
So just to be clear real quick, the daughter Judy is the avatar of the daughter, right? Of the individual that is moving into senior living. And one of the things I love about your business, Philip, is the name Mom's House. And of course, there are men moving into senior living communities. But what are the statistics on men versus women? I think that's going to blow some people's minds. I know it blew mine when I first heard it.
What's funny is that even if it's dad, the one that's moving into senior living, that mom has passed, a lot of times the family says, what are we going to do with Mom's house? Because she kind of ruled the roost a little bit.
It was her house. Yeah.
It was her house. She ran everything. Even if dad lived there, it was Mom's house. And so the numbers are staggering. It's 7-1. So if you're a man in senior living, you have 7 more women there than every one man. And so it's not
women live longer.
Women live longer. There's just no doubt. The stats staggeringly show that. And also, women seek out care more than men do. Men tough it out at home and die at home, and women will say, "I'd like to have this help." Right?
Yeah, I don't want to be lonely here either. I want to be able to go communicate with other people and have fun and play bridge and get my meals, delivered to me or made for me. And you're right, men are stubborn, man. So there are men that go into the senior living communities, of course, but 7-1. Women, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, we don't have time for this too many stories, but I remember we went and did a networking event at a senior living community, and 2 men were sitting right outside of the beauty parlor, because every time a woman got done with getting her hair done, they were able to give the ladies compliments. They're basically shooting fish in a barrel. So, but that's a whole other subject. The point is that senior living is an awesome business, and it's a sustainable business, right? And to get behind that curtain in senior living, you have to know how to talk the talk. And if you think you're going to walk into the front door and wing it, it's just not going to happen. Matt's a good example. He just helped a family move from, I think it was California to Colorado. And he helped a family get moved. They needed to sell their house. The adult child didn't have any other options. And he was able to help a family. They were tickled pink to have Matt, and he made 42 grand on one deal. That's great money.
That's
Heather,
huge.
That's huge. Heather just made $104,000 on a rehab deal. And so by helping a family, right, there's so much money in real estate, so through these partnerships, through these relationships that we have, I think this is the fastest and easiest way to profits. And so here's the 2 things that you have to have, guys, to be successful at this. You have to love real estate, and you have to love helping others. And I would say your number 2 has to be bigger than your number 1. You have to love helping others first, because the real estate deals are right there behind it. These people have to sell the house. They're looking to be treated fair. I promised you guys that I would tell you why I think these are the 10 best reasons. If you can see this, great. I'm going to read them to you quickly. They're truly motivated. I don't have to convince them of motivation. For me, that's everything. If I just had this one thing on this list, I'd be fine. Motivation is what we want, right, in our world.
No matter what.
Number 2 is they have equity. 90% of the time, they own the house outright.
90% of the time they don't have a mortgage?
David, 90%. Boomers and their parents represent $10 trillion in real estate assets owned outright.
Wow. That's nuts.
Number 3, it's a house we can add value to, right? David, these families have lived in these houses so long that mom got her new kitchen. in 1991. She got the new kitchen in 1991. And now that kitchen has to be replaced, right?
70-year-old kitchen, or
I mean, they bought it in the 70s and they got the new kitchen in the 90s, and now here we are in 2020. They're like, the new kitchen's even old now. That's how long they've lived there.
Yep.
Number 4 is
It may be clean, but it's dated.
Yeah, it's so clean. Oh, grandma clean is a real thing. Like, it's clean. It's just, they have a hot water heater that's new, but the carpet's the wrong decade, right?
Right.
The kitchen's wrong. Less competition in what I do. I don't really compete with anyone. Number 5 is my favorite one on this list. That warm transfer of trust when a placement agent or elder care attorney or all these different 11 job titles, when they refer to me, they've put me on a pedestal. They said, this is the guy that fixes this. And I like to walk in and they're like, what do you want to do, Phil? It's like, I'm not selling them anything. We're on a journey and I'm there to help them.
They've teed you up to go in and be a fixer, to be a problem solver. You're not having to go out there necessarily and sell yourself as the guy that can do it.
No,
Placement
I've already
agent,
been sold. They've already
the
sold
finance
me.
director or the attorney or whoever that you're working with has already sold you on it. It's amazing.
Totally. And check out number 6, guys. The best leads in real estate. These leads are free. You build these relationships. The best leads in real estate are free. And that's just amazing to me. It's worth your time and effort. This is a reoccurring lead source. Remember I said, if you turned off your direct mail, how soon would it be before your phone stopped ringing? With this, when you build relationships, they're constantly, every day, these 11 different job titles, they're working with families that are going through this. And so when they know, like, and trust you, write that down, everybody, know, like, and trust, they will send you these deals. It's a reoccurring lead source. Number 8, it's fulfilling to help these families. I've gotten so many hugs from so many people to say, this one thing is going to go easy. Because remember, guys, the daughter Judy there being pulled and drawn and quartered there with the 4 different horses. They don't want that 5th rope around their head. They're like, no more. What else can we do? And so it gives me fulfillment helping them. This also works in any economy. I don't care who wins the 2024 election. I don't care. Seniors are going to get old no matter what the economy is doing, good or bad. The dip in the market right now is actually really good for Mom's House, because remember a year ago, David, when the market was drunk, it's not drunk anymore. Things have changed. And so the market size is gigantic. And so I would say to anyone, if you know of a better lead source, please let me know, because I'll go do that with you. Right? I'm being serious. This is it, man. If you got something better than these 10, let me know, because I'm a full-time real estate investor. Let's talk about it. That's how confident I am in this. And so this is my fear. People here right now, they're going to walk in the front door of a community and go, I'm Bob and I buy houses from old people moving into nursing homes. And in that sentence, I said 3 things that would get me kicked out, because they think it's the right way to talk. And so I've spent decades perfecting this system, David. You don't want to walk in and say, I'm an investor, I'm a real estate agent. Even if you're both of those things, to be clear, I'm an investor and I'm a real estate agent, but that's not how you do it in senior living, right? Right. So don't think, oh no, I am those things. Cool. So am I. I'm going to teach you how to save yourself the embarrassment so you don't fail out of the gate, so you can keep your foot out of your mouth. Your marketing budget can be 0. You can be the only investor working these deals. You can be proud of your business and build something sustainable. And so obviously, guys, today I'm going to try to give you guys as much value and teach you as much as I can about senior living and why it's so great. But I've been doing this for well over 20 years now, and I can't show you guys everything on this call today. I'd love to. That's why we created the certification. It's for people that want to take this seriously, to have this certification.
I'm certified, by the way, and it's amazing.
Okay, yeah, you're certified. You did the training.
So happy I did this training. Yeah, absolutely.
It's eye-opening, right, David? It's like
it is.
And I think it's one of those things that's like so big and obvious, but then when you take the training, you're like, you have to know how to put it all together. I'm going to show you how to separate yourself from the old school real estate investor world, how to stand out from the we buy ugly houses types. You don't have to be negative to do what we do. We always say we're in the hugs and kisses side of this business. You can drive that marketing budget down to 0, and you could, help others while still making a great living. In my certification, it comes with all of these things I'm going to go over. You get the certification. Why does that matter to hold something in your hand and say, I am certified? It's because you can use it in your social media. You can use it in your business card. You can show the world that you've taken this seriously. When you go network in senior living, they know who Mom's House is, and it's going to let them know that you're a person to be trusted. And so that certification has a value there. And show you exactly how to represent yourself to that industry so they can get to that trust. It's easy to be known. It's a little harder to be liked, but we're shooting to get you to the trust as quickly as possible. And back in 2011, when I started, Dave, I did everything wrong. So my training is based on all my errors, all my mistakes. In this certification training, it's a deep dive a 3-part 24 module training on how to master this strategy that we're talking about, how to build a lifelong lead source while creating value for that community. It's very extensive. You're going to spend a lot of time with this space. Sorry, guys. You're going to spend a lot of time with me and on all these trainings, learning about this great industry, but this can change your life. Immediately, you also receive a 10-step action plan, my playbook on a step-by-step guide on what's going to give you the confidence to immediately implement this, right? My wife says something all the time about people buy things for shelf esteem. Don't buy this for shelf esteem. Don't buy this just to learn. Buy this because I need you to implement it in your market. I need you out there in your market building these relationships because we have these nationwide leads coming in. So I want people that I can work with. I'm going to show you the exact strategies that allow me to close more deals while helping families. I'm going to get crystal clear about the mindset that you have to be part of the Mom's House mission. If you can't tell that I'm passionate about this, I very much am. We're on a mission to help over 10,000 daughter duties a month. And we're well on our way to that. That's a big mission because so many people I've talked to, the adult children, they felt like they were on an island the whole time they were going through this, and it was very hard time on them. And so it's not the typical real estate investor who's just too transactional. You have to have love in your heart. We're going to teach you who those 11 different job titles are, learn who is and how you're going to fit into the process of senior living. Meaning, when is the right time for them to refer to you? I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. I'm going to teach you how to build a 20 is plenty. What the heck does that mean? I used to call it the hot 100, Dave. I'm going to teach you to go get, 10 real estate attorneys or elder care attorneys, 10 placement agents, and build this big list. Well, why do you start with 100? Is because not everyone's going to trust you or like you or know you. And so when you start with 100, it's going to boil down to 20 that know, like, and trust you.
That's the 80-20 principle at its finest.
Totally. The 20 is plenty. Why is that? Because I have some lead sources that give me 5 deals a year, right? And so if that's one person, how many do you need if you're getting 5 deals a year? Especially if our goal is only to get to those 12 deals a year. You don't need many people. If you have the right lead source, you might need one relationship. But the idea here is 20 relationships with the right people is the right way to build a business that comes directly to you. So my business today comes directly to me. We give you my keyword search guide so you can build your own 20 is plenty in your own market. For anyone listening right now, you're going to be surprised how much opportunity there is all around you. When people start on this and they go, there's 183 communities in my neighborhood, like I didn't even know that, right? It's like hiding in plain sight. And so the keyword search guide can help you start to build out that 20 is plenty. I'll give you the call scripts and icebreakers of what to say. Don't think you can just walk in and wing it, because you will put your foot in your mouth, even doing it lovingly.
Especially in this space. There's certain things you do not want to do or say. And you guys cover it in great detail, which I love.
Thank you. Yeah, and the goal with all of that, David, is for anyone to feel confident in our approach with tried and tested models. One of my students told me that they were able to have an hour-long conversation with an attorney, an elder care attorney, and he said, without the training, I wouldn't have felt confident in that, because I don't know, sometimes we put attorneys on a higher pedestal. We shouldn't do that. They're humans too. But he said I was able to have a confidence.
We're humans that charge for emails and phone calls.
In our humans, you talked earlier about our big community. We have an awesome community. In the certification, there's pop-up coaching calls that happen there. We use a tool called SKOOL, which is kind of like a
lot of people in here are familiar with it. SKOOL's amazing.
It's great. It's great. SKOOL's a great tool, and that's where we all network together. And so, guys, this is not a huge commitment money wise. It's normally $1,000, and Dave, we made it for your listeners. We made a special deal off the normal price for only $497.
Oh, dude, that's amazing! I paid the $1,000. They're getting
you did pay it. Exactly.
Thank you. All right.
And this is one time. This is not like a monthly fee or anything like that. This is a one-time investment of $497. There's no continuing fees. If you build this tool, put this tool in your tool belt and use it, guys, it can change your life. And so all you got to do to get started is go to momshouse.com/David, momshouse.com/David.
If you want to get a half price, of course. If you don't want half price, just go directly to Mom's House, guys. But you'd be a fool to not use that /David. I love it. Phillip,
this training is, it's such a great value. We have the live pop-up coaching calls with the Mom's House team to get all your questions answered. We give you our credibility. We used to sell the credibility package for $1,000, just that. just this one thing. And so what that does is it gives you a resource to quickly build credibility in the senior living industry. And you can even use the credibility packet for all other houses that you buy too. It just to build trust, you can use that for all of your real estate deals, not just senior living. We also have a 1-month free trial of REIA Black Book that we include. It's just a tool that we use. You know, if you already have your own CRM, that's great, but we do give you a 1-month trial of REIA Black Book. We use that in our own business. We also, another big one here is access to our funding network. I know for a lot of people, I call them the 0 to 1 people, David, that they want to get in real estate, but they haven't done a deal yet. There's always a self-limiting belief that anyone's going to give them money. And I'll be clear, they're not going to give you money. They're going to give the deal money. Deals are usually funded, right? There's so much money out there, and we have a funding network that's nationwide that's included as bonus number 4 here in this, that if you find a deal, we will help you get it funded. So there's a lot we talked about today. I talked really fast, so I apologize, guys. But in this certification, you get the certification, you get the branding guide, you get the 3-part curriculum, the 10-step action guide, you see the unique selling strategies. We call it empathy training. Most investors need a little empathy training. If you don't know if you're empathetic or not, just ask your wife, she'll tell you. Most investors are not empathetic. And so we'll give you the guide to the 11 different roles, different job titles. Why is that important? It's because there's not one elevator pitch for all 11 roles. They're
all different, and they all need to be approached differently.
That's right. About what's in it for them, right? All 11 people want to, what's in it for me? And all 11 people are different. And so we teach you that about each one of those job titles, help you start to build your 20 is plenty. That's like your go-to of knowing exactly who to go after. In 2011, when I started, I just was figuring out as I went. I wish I would have had a program like this. And we have the call scripts and the icebreakers so you can talk intelligently. We also talked about the couple of bonuses there, the live pop-up coaching calls, the funding network, and access to the community. All of that, guys, for $497. It's a hell of a value. You know, if you're thinking I'd like to be part of something like this, it's never been more affordable, especially with the discount right now. You can build a sustainable business in any economy. It's something you can be proud of for your family. You know, you can say, I'm helping seniors, and they're like, well, David, I thought you were in real estate. You're like, I am in real estate, but I do it by helping seniors. You're going to be able to close deals more consistently when people bring deals directly to you. It's going to give you 90% of your time back not doing the marketing efforts that we do the other way. And so you can drive that marketing budget down to 0.
Which is awesome. I love that. That's so amazing.
It's a huge deal, right? I mean, it kind of gives us that certainty in an uncertain world. I know we hear all the time people do one direct mail campaign and quit. And it's not because they made so much money they retired. It's because it didn't get the results.
They got 3 or 4 phone calls. They weren't consistent with it. They didn't get the results, like you said, that they were hoping for.
Yep.
You know, totally.
So you guys have 2 choices here: do nothing and continue to work real estate the same way you've been doing it. That's you already know what that's going to be. Or you can act now and start working with this fastest growing niche. It's one of those things people are going to look back on and be like, oh, the guy was on the thing and I listened to it and I thought it was a good idea. Like, don't do this for self-esteem. Don't do this for do this because you've been looking for something in real estate that you can sink your teeth into.
Yep.
That's who I'm looking for.
I love it for so many reasons, Philip. Just a couple that come to the hip. Number one, I love helping people, right? Yep. And this is one of the ways where you can help so many different people. You can help the person that is moving into the community. You can help their family. You can help the community, right? You can, whenever we are able to purchase the house, then we're supplying jobs to all these individuals to fix it up and to do the title work at the title company. And if there's a loan or a lender involved, like there's so many people that are getting a slice of the pie, right? But another reason that I really love it, Philip, is building the 20 is plenty is not only just genius and awesome, but that in itself is fun to me. Getting out there and networking with the individuals that are in the communities, or as we talked about, some of the ancillary individuals, like maybe the estate attorneys or the clean out companies or whoever is connecting with these individuals, we can network with them. And we not only can get leads from them, which can be free, but we can also reciprocate and give them leads when we're doing other deals, if they may need clean outs, or if we're buying a house from somebody that hasn't even started shopping the local communities. We may have a relationship with a couple and we can say, hey, avoid this one, but go check out this one.
Yep.
So we're going to be able to help in so many different ways here. So holy cow, this is great. And the fact that you're giving everybody a discount today is so super awesome. Thank you for doing that.
I call them favorite coupons, what you were just referring to. I love, as much as I like people to send me leads, I love to give leads out as well.
I love it. Absolutely. There's no better way to get at the top of somebody's mind so they can send you leads if you're already sending them leads. It's the law of reciprocity, right? You open the door for somebody, they're going to want to open the next door for you just because they owe you something. Right?
And what I like is I get to stay in my lane. I get to stay a real estate guy.
Right.
I work in senior living, but I fix that slice of pie that's the real estate pie. But I work with the people that are the clean out, and I work with the elder care attorneys, and I work with the placement agents and the aid and attendants and the VA benefits. Like all those people, we all get to stay in our lane, but we all need to help that family at the same time.
And that's another great thing. You can go out there and you can help them unlock the equity in the home to then be able to provide the care that they need. But while you're out there, you can say, hey, you also need this or this or this or this. Guess what? I have these people that I'm networking with already, and I highly recommend you use them because they're good, trustworthy, loyal individuals.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
that's
call
just
it a bench. Yeah, I'm on their bench, right? And by the way, I'm building the 20s Plenty. Guess what? All the people you're networking with are also building their version of 20s Plenty. They're looking for people to help their families as well.
I love it, man. This is awesome. This is so awesome.
One of my favorite slides here.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. We're so confident in what we do here that if after you take the classes that we have, the certification class, if you don't feel completely satisfied, and if you don't feel like you got at least 10 times your money's worth, we'll give you your money back.
That's awesome. Can't beat that.
That's how confident we are. It's worth so much more than $497. So go ahead and get registered. I don't need a yes right now. I just need a maybe. Go through the training. Go to momshouse.com/David and get started. Here it's a simple process. We're going to show you exactly who to build your 20s Plenty, who those people are, exactly where they are, exactly what to say to them. I'll teach you. This is another big one. Do I have to wait a year before I ask for business? Heck no, don't do that. I'll literally teach you how to ask for the sale in your initial meeting. It doesn't mean they trust you yet, but what I'm doing is whenever you walk away from someone,
plant the seed.
Yeah. What did that person do? What does that person do? He sells bricks. He sells wheelchair ramps. He sells whatever he does. Like you take it away. And if you walk away from that person and they don't think, hey, that Phillip guy, he fixes a problem that I have every day. That's what you want them to think. And next time, are you working with anyone that's going through that right now? Is one of my favorite ways to ask for business right there in the first moment, because guess what, guys, they are working with families that are going through that. I'm going to teach you how to ask for the sale out of the gate. Guys, you can keep your deals, keep them as rentals. You can wholesale them. You can flip them. You can rehab them. I don't care what you do to dispose of the properties. This is a lead source. And when you build it, these relationships, it's going to repeat like a pumping oil well. They're going to continue to bring you deal after deal after deal. I don't know anyone in senior living that's thinking about becoming a wholesaler.
Yeah, agreed.
They stay in their lane too. They're not trying to be you. And so here's what I know for certain. People are going to continue to age in your town. I don't care if you live in California or New York City. People are going to continue to age wherever you live. And I know the adult children want to give their loved ones the best end of life care that they can. That's normal, right? And sometimes as Americans, we think that's the most expensive. We think that that place has I always say, the biggest chandelier, right? So we're trying to take them to the most expensive place. So they need that money. What we do is not trendy or some marketing tactic. This is something where you build meaningful relationships that can feed you, not just today, guys, but for the next 10, 15, 20 years. That's a big deal.
Yeah. And it feels good making big checks and getting paid. Let's not hide behind that, but it also feels good doing that while you are helping people, folks. How amazing is it to get paid to help people?
Yep.
Unbelievable. It's
Totally.
awesome.
momshouse.com/David is how to get started. Remember, guys, there's no monthly marketing cost for this. And think about your wife or your husband. I love my power couples where he's a nurse and she's a real estate investor, and they come do this together. That just because it takes a person that can go out and do this marketing, a likable person, right? And so you need to find out who that is. These power couples, you don't have to have a couple to do it. And this is probably one of the only times you'll ever hear me say this. I think this is better suited for females than it is for men. And I don't know much real estate stuff that I would say.
Yeah, but you doing it, I doing it.
Yeah.
Tons of other individuals. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do it as a man by any means.
No,
but
I tend to agree. This whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree, though, that it makes it easier for women, especially in this niche specifically.
Because of the empathy. Because of the empathy.
It's the empathy. Right. And that's exactly right. But anybody can do it.
Yeah. With the
Great,
training.
great,
Yeah.
great approach. Best niche out there, guys. This is just getting started. Phil, you said earlier, 10,000 people a day turn 65.
Yeah.
And I want to say it's 12,000 a day turn 75.
Yeah.
And that's going to go on for how long?
For the next 15 years.
15 years. I was actually wearing one of your t-shirts in Ace Hardware yesterday. And one of the ladies that was trying to sell me some windows was like, hey, what's the 10K a day? And I was like, funny you ask. Yeah. And I went into that and she's like, holy cow, I had no idea. And I'm like, it's only going to keep growing. We're just getting started with this wave. And yeah.
Yes.
Love it, man. Awesome. Well, Phillip, thank you so much for coming on. This has been an amazing training. Guys and girls, check it out. Go get certified. I am certified. I would not recommend this training if I didn't believe in it. You know, me and Phillip are friends here, of course, but regardless of that, business is business. And this is a good, awesome business to be in, guys and girls. So I would highly recommend you check it out. Again, Mom's House, momshouse.com/David to get that 50% off deal. It's one time, $497. Yep. Tons of value in there. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the recording, but I want to stick around just for a couple more minutes and see if we have any Q&A from any of the individuals that were here with us today live. I will also be posting this recording as well as making this a podcast because I feel like we need to reach as many people as possible to get this training to, because this is a no-brainer. Thanks for listening to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach a wider audience. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, please visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. We would also appreciate it if you left us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you in advance for your support, and remember, you make your money when you buy, and you get paid when you sell. Now let's go build some wealth.